Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of the Town Social. Sorry, a bit late. I'll be your host, the Tom Lees of podcasts himself, Nick Barlow. Joining me tonight is Gaz K and Tristan Batley-Carl. I think Ian Kilroy may be joining us later if we're lucky. If he wants to grace us with his presence later on. So we'll hold out for that. But we're here tonight to discuss another two defeats, unfortunately, on the road for the Terriers, losing 2-1 away at Reading and then 1-0 at Brum. It's not looking good, guys, is it? 15th in the table. I think when Kev said we're hoping to get to the Premier in 3 years, I didn't realise it meant Northern Premier. It's not. I think we're probably the worst position we've been in for the last 15 years. But anyway, let's get straight into it, guys. Please get your comments in. If you'd be kind enough to subscribe on YouTube, that would do us a massive favour. Please do. Get your comments and your questions in. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the games, and then we're going to be looking at where's it going wrong? Is there anyone specific to blame? Is it a collective? What's going on with the player's mindset? Can Duff get it right? Is he wrong to stick with this mantra of this 3-5-2, or is he the one that needs to be changing things? We'll find out, guys. But yeah, get your comments, your questions in, and we'll discuss them as we go through. But gents, let's begin by talking about the Reading game. And to be honest, after the utter debacle of the previous two home games, I didn't hold out much hope. Reading are a decent side, despite all the turmoil off the pitch. They've got some good young players that play with high energy, press well, pace, things that we struggle with. But to be honest, I thought we started the game reasonably well. Our press was better, passing was slightly better, and we managed to win a free kick on the edge of the box. And one thing that Anthony Evans, despite all his critics, one thing that Anthony Evans does give you is decent delivery from set pieces. And he whips the ball in. The keeper does well, actually, to palm it onto the bar, I think. But who's there to nod it in? Good old Matty Pearson. And we're off to a good start, guys, aren't we?
It started all right. I mean, obviously, he made a fair few changes from the previous abysmal showing in an attempt to try and liven up the midfield, didn't they? Although I'm not sure how you liven the midfield up by wheeling Jonathan Hogg back into it, but there you go. We'll leave that for another debate, another day. We lost Ellick through injury, which obviously is a bit of a blow for us, and that looks like it's going to be a long one, doesn't it? It did. And then Nichols managed to injure his elbow, something in the what is it, his elbow or something? I don't know what he's done. In the warm-up, so he managed to get himself out, and he'd taken an axe to the midfield. All three of the midfielders from the previous game didn't survive, and in came Morgan, Evans, and Kusuma. And we made a decent start in fairness. I thought Reading looked really nervous. The crowd was really sparse. I've been a few times to Reading over the years, and it's probably the worst crowd I've seen. But I guess if you're in the position they're in, a big crowd's not going to be a thing, is it? So, horrible though it was, they were absolutely there for the taking, and we'd had a decent enough start, a couple of half chances, and then, as you said, that free kick from Evans after sort of 18, 20 minutes, whatever it was. Really good strike. And for once, we had men following the ball in, and they were queuing up. There were four of them, weren't they? And Matty Pearson got off his old big mallet of an head and managed to nod it into the back of the net. So, at that point, you're thinking, well, we need to just go on from here, really, don't we? We need to try and build on that. We looked like we were in control, but it didn't last for long, less than 10 minutes.
This is a problem, lads, isn't it? And I don't know. It's a worrying trend for me. We seem to, and we'll get on to Brum later, but I think we're kind of the opposite of Birmingham. Birmingham are a team that starts slow and they build into the game, whereas we tend to start well and fade as the game goes on, which is a worrying trend. And again, we start well, we get the goal, but like you said, Gaz, then we start getting a bit sloppy. We did still get forward, and I think Brodie had a chance that he put over the bar, and we had a couple of shots where the keeper made save and dragged one wide, but I mean, when you give goals away, like that first goal that we gave away, Reading were there for the taking, as you said. They're on the ropes a little bit. We had them. You think, right, go and get that second goal. But when you give goals like that to the opposition, it completely lifts the mood. It lifted the crowd. That transmits onto the field. And the players had a spring in the step. I mean, what on earth happened? We tried to play the ball out. Josh Karoma takes a horrendous touch, then even worse pass straight to their player. Longthite then manages to get in, wins the ball, but then takes an age to do anything, just lackadaisical. And then the player takes it off him, and look, it's a good finish. He blasts it into top corner. It's brilliant, but to be fair, but I mean, we can't give goals like that away, surely to God, if we want to get anything out of the game.
Well, they've been catching us out already. Their keeper clearly was under instruction to get the ball out and get it away quickly. Every free kick they were taking it quick, every throw in they were taking it quick, and that was the same. I think it came off Headley. The bloke throws it to a bloke who's stood in 5 yards of space. Jonathan Hogg shuffles over and does one of them things where he sort of tries to reach around the guy and kick the ball away, but the bloke just turned the other way. Hogg then nicked it back off him. The pass to Karoma wasn't great. Karoma, I mean, what on earth was Karoma doing? I've no idea. I mean, there wasn't a red shirt anywhere where he played the ball, was it? So, yeah, and the Longthite thing, I mean, he must have had 3 seconds to put his foot through that ball. And the bloke covered 15 yards before he put the tackle in. And then, I'm perhaps not as generous as you, Nick. No keeper should be getting beat at his near post. Not from that range. Chapman should be ready for that. The second the bloke takes a touch off Longthite's toes, he should be narrowing that gap, and he didn't. But perhaps I'm being cruel. But it was just it was an absolute calamitous goal to give away. And the second that went in, you could see the old doubts start to creep in from Town. And you're right, we did create a couple of chances, and Evans and Karoma and Spencer all had an half-ish chance after that in the first half, but we just seemed to lose all the drive. The high press stopped almost immediately. We looked really nervous when we did get the ball, and we started so brightly. That one moment seemed to turn the game for me.
I'm sure we'll come on to this, fellas, in regards to kind of Duff's kind of mysterious comments this week. But there seems to be, we're a team that in theory are wanting to play the ball out and wanting to pass the ball about. And the only way that you do that is with lads with a bit of confidence, with a bit of composure. And, as you've both alluded to, Hogg plays the ball out. To be honest with you, neither here nor there, And if that was, Tuesday night, Stansfield, as an example, who I thought was exceptional on Tuesday night, if he's in any kind of trouble there, he kind of stops in his tracks. Defender goes through the back of him. He wins the free kick, and it's gone. We kick ball back to their striker, and as you say, guys, I probably do actually agree with you. I think as soon as that touch is taken, Chapman should be springing out of his net. It's a little bit like a cricketer. The slip should never be diving to the left. Towards the wicket keeper type thing. The keeper should never be diving to cover his near post. He should be diving the other way, sort of thing. And I just think, they all just look, particularly again then on Tuesday night, they all just look to play within themselves. They literally look like as soon as the smallest thing don't go right for them, it's how can I get rid of the ball? How can I, there's no one standing up, puffing the chest out and going, right, I'm gonna grab this game by the knackers and go with it. It's oh God, give it someone else, give it someone else, give it someone else. It needs to stop, doesn't it? And quick.
Well, I think that was probably what then really killed the game was we had a free kick just after half time. Pearson puts it in the net. Linesman puts his flag up. You can debate whether it is or isn't a goal. Longthite was definitely offside. Longthite definitely went for the ball. So I can see why the linesman was giving it offside.
Yeah.
After that, we never recovered. I mean, and
Yeah.
they really upped the ante on playing quickly against us, and that's where the goal came from. You know, we switched off at a corner. I mean, again, you could argue the ball's moving, but refs are not going to see that from 40 yards away, is it? And we switched off. They had 3 touches before a town player closed him down. Spencer gets a tackling and only passes it to their man, who then has all the time in the world to get a shot off into the corner. And the body language after that was horrendous. It really was horrendous. And you know, Lee's missed another sitter. That seems to be every game, doesn't it? He seems to miss a hitter from 3 yards. It's becoming a weekly occurrence, isn't it? You know, Lee's had a chance to equalise it and managed to miss it. But I thought Reading then controlled the game. I thought after the second goal, really, we didn't create anything. We didn't look like we were going to get out. It was another game where, and I keep mentioning this, where we're getting into the last 5 minutes, into stoppage time, and we've still got 3 centre halves or 2 centre halves. And just stick one up top and go long for the last 5 minutes of stoppage time. We never do that either. Continuing to take free kicks on the halfway line and go sideways.
Get it forward.
Exactly. But there's a time, you know, and I'm not an advocate of that full stop, but there's a time for it, Nick, isn't there? And we just don't even try it. You know, we had a corner in the last minute. Keeper didn't even go up. We're losing.
Yeah. As pedantic as it had been, you know, I probably agree with you. You know, Longvik is offside and does go for the ball, but we do just seem to be at the wrong side of decisions. You know, tight decisions. We've seen them given the other way. We don't seem to be getting them. The lad, you know, I realised the ball was rolling. I don't even think the ball was rolling. He played a 1-2 to himself. You know, it was that obvious. But these things just don't seem to be going. And not that I'm kind of blaming it on that, but the attitude is almost all woe me. You know, there's no, you know, get up and fight, and you know, they literally they roll over and have their belly tickled, don't they?
Well, that second goal again, it's awful. It's awful defense. We just switch off. It's a simple 1-2 on edge at box, and there's a bit of luck because he gets a boot and then it drops straight to their player. It could have deflected somewhere else, so there's a bit of luck involved with that, and it goes through a crowd of players. Keeper doesn't see it properly. It goes in, but we just switch off from the corner. Nobody wakes up, and you shouldn't be allowed to play a simple 1-2 on edge at box like that. And I don't know where this is coming from, but as soon as we concede a goal or get a decision against ourselves, it's like, you're right, Tristan, there. You spot on. It's this mentality of, oh, no, it's happened again. Well, that's it. It's almost, it's getting to the point where we concede a goal and that's it. We might as well go home. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but we could have still been playing now. We wouldn't have scored. Like it's just mundane passing sideways, like you said. There's no urgency there, is there? There's no urgency. There's no plan B. There's no one really making any run. They don't look like I mean, is it a fitness thing? Are they knackered? Like, there's no one making any runs. There's no one busting a gut to get down the flanks to receive, you know, to anything. There's nothing happening. And the fans are just going berserk saying, come on, get it. We've got like 5 minutes to go. We're just prattling about, passing it sideways at back. It's infuriating. And I agree, guys. I think Reading, to be honest, I think they were there for taking. I think they're a decent young side, but they didn't play well on the day. I think we gifted them the game by 2 sloppy goals. And yeah, this just casual mentality. And I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's coming from. Because we're hearing, aren't we, in all these press conferences, the players saying we're putting it right and we're working hard and it hurts us when we lose. And it didn't look like it hurt them much out there when they're showing no urgency to get in box.
They keep saying, don't they were the highest XG and talking about all that. And I was just looking at in that game, by the way, Reading only had 2 shots on target and scored 2 goals. You know, we had, what do we have? We had 7 and scored 1. And I think that's something else that, perhaps now the signing of Ladapo, I was okay with it. you just start to wonder, is that yet another striker who's going to block the way of us ever making the striking signing we need? Because you can't, you know me, Nick. I roll my eyes at XG because I'm an old fuddy duddy, but we are. That tells you we're creating the chances. You put May in that team, we would be top 3, top 4, 100%, because he would take those chances we created that the others don't.
The only thing I would say, sorry, Tristan. The only thing I'd say, Gaz, is XG. I mean, it's skewed. We have a lot of shots outside the box, and they sort of trickle on target, and keeper saves them. That adds to XG. So, yeah, we're creating XG and chat, but we're not really. They're not. The keeper isn't really having to work that hard with a lot of the chances we're creating.
And your big chances like Tom Lee's,
well,
really exacerbate as well. I was just going to say, Nick, I don't know if you saw it today, and I think it was Andy Kay that made the point about it. Matty Pearson says something like along the lines of, after we lose, I'm the worst person to speak to for a week. I get what he's trying to say, but that is the problem. Do you know what I mean? What can you do about that result?
He mustn't speak to anyone then for the past 2 months.
Bloody
hell! He must be one depressed bugger if it. Do you know what I mean? I know what he's trying to say, and it hurts. Of course, it does. The professionals. Do you know what I mean? Of course, it's going to hurt. It hurts us, and we're just spectators. But you can't let it get. You can't let it get to you. You've got to just.
You can't do anything
shrug it
about
off
it.
And get your head down. And I'm sure they do. It's hard doing these press because everybody jumps on every little thing you say, and sometimes it can be, misconstrued. Look, I'm sure that it hurts them. I'm sure they're doing everything they can in training, but there's something not right. Because let's be honest, lads, when did we last have a really good performance? Probably Peterborough away, and you could argue maybe Bolton, but Bolton were rubbish that game. They were in turmoil, although they look like they've turned it around now, but they were in turmoil. So really, apart from that Peterborough away, have we seen a complete performance all season? No, I don't think so. I think we've been awful at home. We've been dreadful. So where's that come from? Because we had a decent pre-season by all accounts. We won a reasonable amount of games. We started off winning games. So where has this come from?
Well, they took a gamble. I mean, at the beginning, after the Peterborough game, we were all, what a great decision to hang on to Hellick. What a great decision to hang on to Hogg. What a great decision to hang on to Nichols. But these people, I was thinking about Hogg the other day, and I love Jonathan Hogg, by the way, I have to say. He's a proper old man's footballer. But some of these records people keep talking about, our level of our win rate over the last 10 years at 15% or whatever these pathetic stats are. I mean, without being able to, he's a serial loser. Other than the promotion season, first half of the Premier League season, the season under Carlos, and all the time he's been here, we've been perennial strugglers. And you've got Ellick and Nichols, who were part of a team that got relegated miserably, and Lees, and there's three, and even Pearson. These are players who have been here for the last 2 or 3 years, been dragged through the mire, and clearly, Nick, to break that cycle is a lot more difficult than probably anybody, maybe including us, thought it was going to be.
I'd just throw into the mix, and I'm going to put my helmet on as well here. I wonder if kind of Duff's comments, as much as they're about the players, they're about the club as a whole.
I think they are.
Honestly, I appreciate that people,
including us lot. He probably includes us lot in that.
Exactly the point I was going to make. Folk will probably line me up as a happy clapper, but that's fine. I'm happy to go down in that blaze of glory.
We know you are anyway, Trish, so it's fine.
But Northampton was awful. I absolutely know it was awful. But straight away, the first pass backwards or the first missed pass, and you start to hear these groans. And I know Nick were joking earlier on, but you start to hear, get it forward, get it forward, you know, and honestly, straight away you can just sense the ground just turning on, you know, and then at the end of a game, you know, if they lose, it's like a complete meltdown every week, you know, and I just wonder whether, and they do have to change this, you know, the people only change when the team starts winning, but you know, I tried to have this conversation with someone the other day. I think you alluded to it, Gaz, earlier on in the season. It was the best start in 45 years. You know, and all of a sudden, we've just gone completely and utter, you know, belly up. And there has to be something around the players and the energy and the fans, you know, jumping on the back. And I mean, it's difficult to spin it, isn't it? Sean Jarvis seemed to manage to spin it around when we went up, but yeah, I don't know. It just, there's a real bad vibe around the club at the minute again, and it's, unless they start putting some games together, I think some wins together. Sorry, you know, I think it'll just keep going.
It's weird, isn't it? Because we've gone from the best start we've had in 45 years, to the worst run we've probably had in 45 years.
I'm
not
not sure about that. We've had a them over the last 10 years.
Well, I know, but oh, here he is. Welcome.
Double dipping. That's what
I thought you're busy making tofu curry, or
no? But the advertisement for Holroyd Food Co will be going out shortly for anyone listening who's interested in vegan meals. That's as good as anything you can get meat based.
Well, I'm happy to do you a testimonial when I've tasted mine next Friday.
Tell you what, there's no question of loyalty here, is the Gaz with you. Cheers, mate.
Well, you're just in time. We're going to start talking about Birmingham.
Oh, what am I doing for again?
Yeah, sorry to depress you.
Bye, good, gone.
We're just talking about all the fans been shit. Tristan's calling all the fans out, saying we shouldn't be on the club's back after the run we've had.
I'm not sure.
But in all seriousness, I think, look, it's hard, isn't it? Because we've had, since the Premier League, we've had 4-5 seasons of abject misery. Yeah. It's not just a response to this season. And the thing is, Tristan, I think people at the club need to be able to account for this as well, because what were they spouting at pre-season? The aim's promotion. We're going up, this, that, again. And then you look how we've done it. They just it puts pressure on from the off, because buy your season tickets, come down. We're resetting. We've reset. We've sorted out stadium out. We've got all these new things. We're going to get the players. We're going to reset, and we're going to kick on and get promoted. So then, when you've had all those other seasons of disappointment, it's looking like yet another season of the same, and that's where the frustration comes from. And the anger, because they feel like they've just been sold a dud again. You know, they've got the money now. We've bought our season tickets, and then look at what we're serving up yet again. It's exactly the same pattern as we've had for the past 4 or 5 seasons or whatever. And I think it's everyone in it. It's a collective. I think I agree in game that getting on the backs when they make one back pass and shouting it isn't going to help anybody. But equally, the performances at home, I'll come back to it again, the performances that have been served up at home have been utter dross. Apart from the first 45 minutes against Stevenage, it's been awful since. And, you know, fans, they're not going to stand for it. They've paid, you know, hard-earned money to go and watch that with a team that, you know, is supposed to be one of the top teams. We've invested in the squad. We've still got players who, you know, played in Premier League, Championship, and this is what they're serving up. And it's not good enough, because we know they can play better than what they're showing. And fans will forgive defeats, you know, as long as they see the team giving 110%. And that's, I'm sure the players are trying, but it don't look that way. And some of the performances, the energy isn't there. The desire, there's no, when we're trailing, like I said, going back to it, there's no impetus, there's no urgency, they're not rushing to get forward. We're not trying anything different. We're just stood there like static. And it's so frustrating, isn't it, to watch? It's torturous to watch when you know there's still 20 minutes left in a game and there is no way we are going to get back into this game. It's terrible. Jersey Terrier, let's go back to some of the comments, because he said about Tom Iapenda, which I kind of agree with. I don't know what the bloke's done wrong, really. He's big, he's tall, got a bit of physicality. He's not afraid to get on the ball and drive forward. Why is he not getting any game time, lads?
Well, Duff said he wasn't sending him out on loan because he expected to be giving him some game time. He was that close to starting in the first team yet. I mean, he's not even getting on the bench.
I don't know what he's done wrong. Honestly, I think he'd be. Why not? Why not try? Because the midfield hasn't worked, has it? Let's be honest. It's not worked. He's tried umpteen combinations of players, and we've not managed to find the best midfield yet. So give the lad a go. He can't in the cameos he's made. He's done all right. So let's go on to Birmingham then, lads. Let's carry on this ride of depression. And I think, do you know what? First sort of 25, 30 minutes, I thought we gave it a decent go. I thought the press was better. Birmingham are one of these sides that are renowned for starting quite slow and then building to the game. And they do have mistakes in them at the back. You know, we're trying to play like Man City again with players that aren't really capable. So if you put a high press on, you are going to force them into mistakes. And we did that. You know, it went out for a couple of cheap throw-ins, corners. We had that chance after 29 seconds where Miller really should have got it on target at least. Drags it wide, and you're thinking, yeah, I tell you what, we're giving it a go here. But then after 25 minutes, Birmingham kind of just sat back, sussed us out a little bit, and then started to change very subtly the way that they played and started to gain control. And from that point onwards, we just never really got a look in, did we? Alfie May, I think he thought he were playing for us. He forgot he were playing for Birmingham. He managed to clear off the goal line for us, which I'm very grateful for. So that should have been 1-0. Stansfield had a couple of gilt-edged chances that he dragged wide, which he should have taken at least one of them. So it should have been 2-0 before he even got to goal. And look, Birmingham are a good side. They've got good players, good movement. Stansfield gets wrong side of Tom Lees, and it's a simple cutback for May who can't miss. But after that goal went in, it's the same pattern, lads, same as at Reading. When that goal went in, what did we offer? Karoma came on, I think he did, is instead of squaring it to someone on overlap, he cut in and had a shot against someone's legs. And I think that was on the 60-odd minute. And I think after that, I don't think the keeper made a save, did he? We offered absolutely nothing.
I thought Town started all right, though. Town started first 30 minutes absolutely fine. But the thing, there's a very big difference of how Birmingham approached the game and how Town approached the game. And it really came back to bite us in that game alone. First 30 minutes, we were fine. We should have scored after 30 seconds, like you're saying. If it's Josh Karoma on that side, it is 1-0 for starters. I know Duff talked about it today, saying he missed out because of a bad back, and that's why he didn't start. But I'll tell you what, at that point, I was fuming because obviously we didn't know then he was out because of an injury. I thought it was a tactical change to take him out of the starting lineup. And yeah, he's not been great up until this point, but he's still, I know Tristan disagrees, the best striker we've got and the most effective when it comes to scoring goals. And he's on there. It's 1-0 Town. We're happy days. But jokes aside, that first 30 minutes was okay. It was fine. But Birmingham were testing us out. You could see they were trying different things throughout the game. They were just trying to see where our weakness was. And to be fair, what happened with Town is it was the first tactical change I've actually seen from Duff at the beginning of a game, in that we've normally been playing with our centre-backs, because what it is, honestly, guys, you and me playing centre-back wouldn't be any slower than Tom Lees and either Helic or Pearson playing. We just wouldn't be. We're quite pedestrian when it comes to the pace at the centre-back. So what we did against Birmingham, instead of having our three centre defenders sitting deeper to counter that issue that we don't have the pace there, but what happens then is the wing-backs are a little bit higher. There's a massive gap there, and that's where every team's beating us. Hitting it over the top of the wing-backs' heads were a bit high, but being played on side because our centre-backs are slow and they're having to sit deep. What we did in the first 30 minutes is our centre-backs were smashed up on halfway line. We were really, really high, and I don't think Birmingham were ready for that. But what that meant is it compacted the pitch for Town. It made our midfield and defence closer together, which we've had a real issue with all season, in that the middle of the park has been vacant every single game. Apart from Preston, to be fair, Reading, I don't know what you guys said about that, but I didn't think it was as bad. I thought it was a little bit better than what we've had. We found a way to lose that game, and we never should have lost it. And that's huge warning signs, absolutely, from defensive errors. But the general flow of the game for an away game was actually a bit better than what we'd actually had in the home games against Northampton and Blackpool, for me anyway. But we compacted the pitch down. We controlled the play a little bit better. But Birmingham was still just testing things a little bit out. Right, we'll try this. It didn't work. It didn't work. What did work in the end, 30 minutes in, they realised if they played a quick ball out to somebody out wide in either Mays or Stanfield, both of them were doing it. The strikers went out wide onto the wing backs. It was one touch into them, and the one touch then from the guy out wide back into the middle where the striker then will be on his way past Lees and past Pearson. And that's where the goal came from. Their number 4, I can't remember who it was at the back line. He plays it straight in to, I think, Stansfield's feet, plays it out wide, and one touch the guy on the wing back. He plays it back into Stansfield because he's got a one-on-one with Lees for a 50-yard run, and then an easy pull back to May because Pearson goes towards goal instead of watching his man. They did it twice and they nearly scored again, but Lees did the same thing with a last-ditch tackle and stopped him getting in the same pattern of play. And the thing that really pissed me off about this entire situation that I've spent far too long discussing is that Birmingham have spent 25 to 30 million pounds. They adjusted their style of play to counter how we were playing. But Huddersfield Town, this season so far, changed nothing to counter the teams we're playing against. And now it's Birmingham, the best team in the division, the team that are going to probably run away with a potential record total when it comes to points. They adjust the way they play to break us down. Why aren't we doing the same thing? And up until that Birmingham game, we haven't changed anything. Duff did make some changes, and that's those centre-backs being a little bit higher. But then Birmingham found another way to break that down. And it just, from then on out, Nick, like you say, first 8 minutes we were fine. The 60 minutes following that, it felt like we were a League Two club again, coming up against somebody better in a cup game, and we were just holding on really, and just kind of, we're not really asking too many questions, but we don't want to lose too badly, so we'll just see it out. And that game alone isn't going to dictate whether we're going to get promoted or not. Of course it's not. It's Birmingham away. And at the beginning of the season, if they said you get stuffed 5-0 at Birmingham, none of us would have alarm bells. We know how much money they've spent. We know they're going to be good. It's just when the fan apathy set in because of 7 defeats. 7 wins in 8. Imagine that. Imagine 7 wins in 7 defeats in 8 games. When you get another defeat, even if it's a little bit better than it has been, people just don't like it. And those last 60 minutes against Birmingham, whilst I thought we were more solid and it was a different thing, it was just a bit depressing to be a part of watching it for me. I felt pretty low after it. I just thought, okay, I'd never expected just to win there, but it feels like we didn't even have a go because we have a little bit of fear in us. And I didn't expect that after the Peterborough first couple of games where we're top of the league and I'm having to change my prediction. I said 7th. I thought we were going to be awful this year. We started like a house on fire. And all of a sudden, since that moment until now, we've regressed week on week. And it's just hard to watch. And Birmingham was really not a good game to watch as a Town fan.
Well, he started off with another 4 changes. So that's 10 changes in 2 games Duff's made. Virtually changed the middle line, brought in Miller and Sorensen and Wiles. So 3 out of the 5 across the middle got changed again. But I thought I'm with you, Ian. I thought we started really strong. Kasuma's crunching challenge in the first 30 seconds really set a tone, and I think they were a bit surprised. And I can see how Peterborough got 2-0 up against them at the weekend, by the way. I know Peterborough then went on to lose 3-2, but you can see actually how they're not really comfortable with that high press. But as you said, they were cute enough to work their way around it. And once they did, that 5 or 10 yards that we then started to give them meant their midfield took real control. That Williamson, by the way, I know their commentators kept going on and on and on about Pack and Iwata, but that Williamson, what a Rolls Royce that bloke is. He was absolutely outstanding. He never gave the ball away once, and every time he got it, he found 5 and 10 yards of space. He was absolutely brilliant. But until we gave them the room to operate, he was anonymous. So I'm with you. I think games like that they're always going to go in phases. You're always going to have sections where we have a bit, they have a bit, we have a bit, they have the bit. But what we had a bit, and then they just had the rest of it. And the last 70 minutes is as close to a 1-0 battering as you can possibly get. It really is. I mean, if it had been 5, I don't think we would have complained. And I think we never really, although we created a few half chances, we never really looked like scoring. And I think if there's the only thing I really took out of the game is Bojan Radulovic is not a championship footballer. I think that is probably the one thing I can definitely take out of that game. I thought Kasuma was probably our best player on the day, by the way. I thought he was the only one that continued to bring energy and tried to bring the game back to Birmingham, the only one. I think everybody else, maybe Miller, but he ran out of steam. And it was a difficult watch that last hour for me. because we didn't do anything to affect the game. Sorry, Tris.
No. And completely agree. I think particularly against a team like Birmingham, inside 30 seconds away from home, you've got to take that chance, haven't you? Full stop. And as Nick really, really, really spot on, you've got to at least hit target and try and make him push ball out or something. But then, like you've all said, we pressed really well. We won a free kick because Evans had pressed, he'd won the ball, they pulled him back, maybe a bit soft, but we were on top of him. Kasumu, I think, then won a ball back, and it was a bit of a tame shot, but he had a shot at goal. And then, just as you said, Killer, one diagonal ball over Sorensen, and I think it literally came to nothing. But Keshi Anderson got on the end of it, and we just went bang, and we dropped, and we kept dropping, and it was almost like a boxer taking a blow to the body, wasn't it? It just knocked the wind completely and utterly out of us. We looked, and that Williamson, again, guys, I couldn't agree more. He looked like nothing until about 25 minutes in. He skipped into the box. One lad kind of put his arms up and like dare touch him. He skipped between two others, and you're thinking like, what on earth's going on here? And then Alfie made. Well, it were pretty spectacular, wasn't it? But
Do you reckon that's the worst miss you've ever seen against Town?
Yeah,
it rather to miss. I don't know. It looked like a right effort to clear it, didn't it? If that's your defender,
slide it wide against. Was it Stevenage or Shrewsbury? Whoever it was, when he sort of passed it wide from 6 yards. I thought we're not going to beat that this year, and then we did.
I thought it was the equivalent of Gordon Banks' save against Brazil.
How
he managed to get that up and over the bar, I have no idea. but then just to touch a bit more on the kind of defensive stuff, there was another ball in the first half that was from one of their centre halves, and he's kind of like looped it. He's like tried to curl it in behind our defence, and honestly, it's either head out, a volley out. And Lees has dilly-dallied with it, and I think you said, Nick, he had 2 or 3 chances. Did Stansfield? That was one of them from literally nothing. And as you said, Killer, about the Reading game, we seem to find ways of getting teams into the game, and then we go into the second half. I think Miller got caught upfield, so Spencer went out to kind of engage the lad out wide. Lees has got 2 yards on the lad. He's just put a little ball in behind, and this is what we don't seem to have. We don't seem to have someone that goes, right, I'm going to go and get that ball, and he goes past Lees. He's stronger than Lees. He's quicker than Lees. He's done Lees with about 2 or 3 yards, and then, quite as you say, like the real basics of football, like defend the area there. If Matty Pearson has gone towards that ball, it's not 1-0. Quite simple. But why he went towards goal and just opened up to arguably last season's league top scorer. But I'm going to have to disagree with you guys, because Bojan was bad, but God Almighty, he's far better than Ladapo. At least the ball sticks to him a little bit.
That we're going to.
Is this where we're at? Is this where we're at? 9 games in.
Yeah.
9 games in. Positive Tristan's already shitting on one of our strikers, being awful, but one's even worse than that. But no, you're right though. You are right.
I'd love Ward to be playing. That's how bad it is.
Well, to be fair, Ward and Healy are back in training today, aren't they? They've been back. I don't know if Ward's taken part fully, but Healy has anyway. So we are going to have 6 strikers soon to choose from. Until I don't know if I'd want any of them. Can we play 4-6-0 like Spain when they won Euros?
I would say one thing though. And they've got to, I think I can't remember which game he tried him for. Maybe Northampton or Blackpool. I can't remember. He's got to throw Hodge in there, and I think he's got to throw Hodge in there, probably in that 6. And I'd actually push Kasumu higher up the pitch. And try and get that energy and use that energy in the press, go and win the ball higher up the pitch. Keep teams, camped in their half a little bit more. Because as soon as the ball comes into the defence, and some of those lads in the midfield, they look timid. They look. There's no. If you want to play this style of football, you've got to be confident on the ball and in and out of possession. There was I think it was Stansfield's second chance in the second half. One of the midfielders was tracking him and then just stopped. I think it was Wiles. Tracked him, then just stopped, or tracked the lad going down the wing and just stopped, and he just ran onto it, and it's just real Billy basics. It's such Billy basics. I think the Hodge and Kasuma will have to start in midfield, and maybe try Ayapenda, I don't know, but try someone else that is going to be, that kind of a bit of composure on the ball.
To be fair, he's tried everything, hasn't he? That midfield three, I think everyone's had a go. I think Kitman, Brookie's going to have a shot at centre midfield role at this rate. Like I'm next up, I think, to do a leg at ACM. It's just we've tried everything and it's not working. But I do think our defence stepping up a little bit higher. The problem is the pace of them. That will help the entire rest of the team. I think Duff football relies on 3 centre backs that are agile, or 2 of them at least. You can have your centre pin, you can have your meat eater, your Pearson in there. That's fine. But your other 2 next to him have to be pretty mobile. And maybe with Brodie Spencer, who's not really a centre back for me, but with him and Lomvik, we can maybe play that way, and we might get a little bit better. But my biggest issue, boys, and have we had a good second half to any game this season?
I don't
think we have. And the reason I'm bringing that up, Tristan, is you and I had
on.
a big discussion about how important pre-season is for fitness and all this kind of stuff. Why are we so shit in second halves? Every single game. Now, Warnock was famous for the first half being reserved, making adjustments second half, and winning games when it matters, right? We are the exact opposite of that. We change nothing. Other teams do, and we get worse from half-time, and Birmingham was the same. That 60 minutes on, we showed no resilience. We showed no second bite. Normally, football games to me, right? This is a general League One football game. And if I'm wrong, boys, jump in, comments, tell me I'm wrong. First 15 minutes are frantic. They have no relevance to the rest of the game. Then the aggressor, the better team, normally takes charge of the game from 15 minutes in until 45 minutes. If they score a goal for the next 10, 15 minutes, is a bit of a bounce from the team that's conceded generally, and they have a bit of a go again. It's a bit frantic again. And then in the second half, the first 15 minutes, frantic again. Right? And you've got these peaks and troughs. With Town this year, we start 15 minutes frantic, and we only have a couple of chances. But then if we concede, we're just shit for the rest of the game. And there's never a period where we get better. We don't have a bite back. We just deteriorate slower and slower and slower. Half time comes.
I thought in the Bolton game we did, Killer. I thought in the Bolton game.
Okay, do you know what? What score were it at half time? Was it? I think
1-0.
Oh, do you know
was
what?
It? I think it was 1-0. Karoma had just scored before half time, but I didn't think either side was that great for the first kind of 15, 20 minutes, and we seem to grow into that a little bit. But yeah,
but even if you chuck in the Bolton game in there, you've got 8 other games plus the cup games where against Doncaster we brought in our first team midfield and we still looked worse at the end of the game and lost it when we brought on Wiles and Evans. I can't remember who came on in that game, but we ended with our first midfield 3, didn't we? I think at the end of it, we just get worse as games go on, and that's the biggest warning sign of everything that we have. It's not how we start from the beginning. It's how the games go. And I don't know if it's fitness. I don't know if it's a mental thing. But as games go on, instead of warming up into it, Town just get worse and worse. And it's nearly without fail. I don't know what the answer is for it, because I don't think Duff does either at this moment in time. But for me, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I just think the second halves are they're just not right. They're awful every single time. You don't seem to get any sort of reaction when something adverse happens to us. If we go 1-0 up, it's a bit different. If we score, a bit different. But if anything, substitutions don't really make a big difference in any. I don't think we've made substitutions in any game that's made a massive positive impact following it. And that's quite strange. We're now a quarter of the way nearly through the season, and it's still not happened yet. It's just something I thought was a little bit bizarre and important to point out.
I mean, in fairness, we'd managed to find ourselves out of the game in this one, but Northampton, Karoma seemed to change the game a bit, and I do wonder whether. I still do wonder whether if he'd have scored that penalty, we might have. It may not have played out like this. if we'd have got back into that game,
Am I
but the
frozen?
mentality just seems to have just completely gone.
No, it just.
You all right, Gaz? What's going on, mate?
Speak, Nick.
I'm just being polite.
Gaz
I'm
is,
just letting
Gaz,
Gaz
Gaz,
start.
Gaz is full middle age sitting in there, Gaz. What are you talking about? Full
Are you going to talk?
Are you
going
to
Gaz, what are you doing, man? Anyway, to get back on point, Tristan, you're right, that Northampton game. But at 3-0 down, you can. That's a total.
Yeah,
you can count it technically. I understand that. But it's not a 0-0 game where it actually matters and you've got to get yourself into it.
I wonder though if the mentality has gone since that point.
Tristan's frozen, that's what it is. And he was confused for some reason. There you go, next back. Look. Anyway,
someone kick Gaz out.
What's going on, guys?
I don't know.
I don't know. Sorry.
I think, do you know what? I didn't mind the Peterborough second half because I thought we had that succession of corners beginning of the second half. We pushed them back and we controlled it, and I was more than happy with that. Bolton were poor, so yeah, but we scored 3 goals. So I'm not. Did we? Yeah, scored 3 goals, didn't we? So I'm not going to complain about that. But I agree with you on the other games. We've been god awful every single second half, and we touched on it before. Really, this mentality of, I was saying, it's the opposite of Birmingham, who start slow but then build into the game and adapt to the opponent and get stronger and stronger. And that's the hallmarks of a really successful side. We're kind of the antithesis of that at the moment. And you're right, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm scarily getting vibes from last season in these performances where we've stopped scoring goals, really. We're conceding sloppy goals. The opposition don't really have to work out to score against us, whereas we have to work overtime. Should we be worried? Where's this going to end? Are we just going to keep slumping? Because Duff seems to be rigid to this system, and I don't see him changing it anytime soon. Whose fault is this? Is it Duff's fault? Is he being too stubborn? Does he need to change it? Is it the players' mentality? What is going on?
I don't know. In fairness, he seems to have kind of made his bed and laid in it almost, hasn't he? In the sense of they've built a squad for exactly this formation, and I'm not really sure. I'm not really certain where we go outside of that to some extent. We don't have any wingers in club, and we don't really have any kind of inside forwards as you might. You could maybe throw Marshall and Karoma out wide, and if Healy or Ward is back, then they maybe could go through the middle. But I'm not really certain there is a lot of different players at the club, to be quite honest with you.
He ain't going to change it, you know that, don't you? I think this 3-5-2 is a hill that Michael Duff is willing to die on. I think I just can't see. I just can't see a change, and despite the fact that everybody, blind man on a galloping horse, can see that all you got to do is stick it in behind our wing backs against our pedestrian centre halves, and you're going to be in on goal. I mean, it's not. We've been talking about it since the 3rd game, and we're a bunch of nobodies. So how can a bunch of professionals not see that and not react to that is absolutely beyond me. And I think somebody mentioned in the chat, didn't they, about is it time for a back 4? It was Mark, I think, wasn't it? Should be back 4 from the start. Is now worth a try. But we haven't really got any traditional fullbacks either. Unless you're going to play Turton.
Ruffles as well. You've got Josh Ruffles.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's a full. I don't really know what he is. He's not a fullback and he's not a wing back, is he? So, but I can't see him changing the shape. I think he's going to continue to tinker with the middle 5 until he can try and the strikers till he can find a recipe that works. Because without Ellick, really he's stuck with the back 3 as it is. Longback will come back in on Saturday against Barnsley, I would think. I'd be surprised if he didn't. But yeah,
so guys, you don't think it'll ever change? You think he'll stick with this no matter what? And the only reason I'm asking this is today in the press conference, Michael Duff said something that he's not said up until this point. I realised yesterday I don't actually think he'd ever accepted responsibility for getting something wrong when it came to setting Town up. And now again, if I'm wrong, please let me know. But he said we got it wrong against Blackpool, that the setup was wrong or the selection was wrong. And now that's a big admission to me for Duff, because normally the players aren't right or they've got this confidence issue. He don't really blame anyone, but he don't blame himself. He just is kind of middle of the road kind of guy. And today he accepted responsibility for a mistake that I think he said we set up wrong or we did something wrong. He failed at Swansea. He got booted out there pretty quick. Huddersfield, if it doesn't work out here for him, the next club he'd get, I'd guess, would be a smaller club on paper. And I don't like saying smaller club, bigger clubs. I don't like that talk. But you understand what I'm saying. It wouldn't be somebody with a budget like ours, or it'd be unlikely to be if it didn't work out between now and January. For just for example, just to say, I think we are now 15th in the league. We've lost 7 out of 8. We don't look like we're close to getting there. To me, we look like we're actually regressing. We look like we're at this point in the season. You'd expect to be like when David Wagner first came in. We lost those games at the end of the season, but you could see the progression game on game. You could see us nearly getting there, and that you had great hope. And I don't feel that at the moment. Maybe it's just me, but I don't feel that. I feel like we're getting worse and worse and worse. And now maybe a couple of easier fixtures on paper will do us a bit of a favour. But then Northampton and Blackpool at that point on paper looked quite as easy as it gets in this division. And maybe Barnsley at this point is the perfect next game for us to get back at it. They play similar to us, their form. Whilst I think they're 6th, they're doing all right in the league, but they've had an extra game and they've had an easier set of fixtures than what a lot of teams have had. So I think they've got a bit of a false confidence in where they are. I think he's going to be forced into changing it. There's been moments in games where he's gone to a back 4. I genuinely believe there will be a moment where he does change from that 3-5-2. Will it be this week? I don't know. But if it does fail this week, and it does fail on Saturday against Barnsley, I don't think the first league game after the break would be a 3-5-2, guys. I just don't. I think he'd have to change it, because eventually you start either panicking or changing your mentality or whatnot. But for him, it's not worked now at Swansea, nor is it working at the moment at Town. And you can say it's because he didn't have the right guys in. That's fine. But there's still 3 months between here and January where he can bring in the guys he needs to bring in. Would be cast adrift in this division if that's the case. It doesn't feel good. It does feel like last year to an extent. It's not like we're going to get relegated. That I think is ridiculous. Are you sure? Do you know what, Nick? Having learned from you, I'm not going to commit to anything. I'm not going to say I'm going to run around naked and then kind of do it, but really have a mankini on. Does it count, Nick? Not entirely sure. I'm not going to commit to it, but to get relegated from here would be a catastrophe we'd never seen before. I think we're better than that, much better than that.
I do think that, but there's also the stage that generally struggling managers go through before they change what they consider their principles. Is what they tend to do. They start putting some square pegs in round holes. So he's still got games where he can start to play Og as a centre half and Wiles as a striker, and he's got that stage to go through yet before he finally accepts 3-5-2 might not work, and then he goes to 4-4-2, because that's what all managers do. They all start convincing themselves.
He went full back, start playing as centre midfielders. That's a down. Exactly. Right back, he has a go at centre midfield. Exactly. But then again, what Turton or Ruffles Warnock played in there a little bit, and he saw about 50,000 goals. Yeah, he looked like
they've got that stage to go through. But
I'll tell you what, just as a quick aside, Gaz, you dressed as if you're going to be next director of football at Huddersfield Town today. I don't think people are listening to this on the audio feed. Gaz looks like he's after his job.
That's why I had to push it back half an hour. Be careful what I can and can't say.
But no, I just feel that he's going that poorly at the moment. 7-8 games is ridiculous. Danny Schofield lost 4 in a row, didn't he? I think so. We've had Moore, terrible. Brighton Writer, questionable. It feels like when we lost all those games in the Premier League again, we're in League One and we should be a big hitter. We've lost 7 out of 8. You can't persist with that system, can you? Between here and January, if we do, do you know? I'm depressing myself here. Actually, I'm gonna stop talking.
Having said all of that, right? Having said everything I've just said, I'm not entirely convinced sacking the manager is the answer. By the way, I think
no, whoa! Don't put those words in my mouth. That was
I'm not putting it up. But there's plenty of people who are saying, he should be, and if he isn't willing to change from 3-5-2, he should be. I'm not saying any of those things. I think we've backed Duff now. He's the horse we've backed, and I think we've got to ride it out now. Although worryingly, the comments in his press conference, at the club. What was it he said? Andy Kay tweeted it, didn't he? But that basically the club's knackered. It's starting to go all bright and right on us.
He said here that there are challenges at the football club that we need to get to the bottom of, which could be anything. It could be player mindset. It could be things going on behind the scene. Who knows? But it doesn't sound good, does it? It doesn't bode well. We've seen this before, haven't we? I mean, is Duff under pressure, guys? Because I've already seen the old Duff out comments start to emerge amongst Nagel out, Cartwright out, Maureen out. I think everyone associated with clubs getting out. Brookie out, yeah.
That's what I say.
Edwards
you can't
out.
say things like that, Nick.
But seriously, it's we're getting to that sort of desperation stage amongst the fans, and look, it's been awful, hasn't it? But everyone's wanting someone to blame, and is Duff's job safe? I mean, it's been an awful run, hasn't it? And lose at home to Barnsley. We've still got Wrexham away to come up. Bristol Rovers on paper, is okay, but we fought that against Northampton, didn't we? So, if he loses on Saturday, is he under pressure?
Anyone going to put the neck on the line and say yes? Because he
No,
probably
no,
is.
I think he's already under pressure. Honestly, I already think he's under pressure. I do, and Kev is ominously quiet.
Yeah, and he was like this before the Darren Moore incident when he used to say, "Oh, we're amazing, we love him, he's going to be with us." When he went to Radio Leeds, and then 3 weeks later, dead silence, and then came out with that one before the QPR game where he's like, "I hope the result is a bit different on weekend." I think that's how it went. I can't remember exactly. But you've lost 7 out of 8 games, and you're supposed to be a big hitter in this league. Your job's always under pressure as a football manager. It's never safe. You're only a few games away from it not being safe. But this run of results has been awful. And to be fair, I think Town fans have been pretty patient. There's a few. Enough is enough is the thing, isn't it? I think that's the comments at the moment on social media when it comes to getting people out. Again, I think Duff football. I don't like it. I don't like 3-5-2. I don't think my view on this is no football team, in my opinion, can succeed long term playing one system of football that never deviates from it. I think football's so competitive and they are such professional, all the athletes, and they eat everything properly and they train as hard as everyone else. The difference between the best team and the worst team is very little in most divisions. Now, it's different if you've got Man City money, I get it, and Birmingham have done something much different in League One. But normally, it's very, very tight, and you have to adapt game in game. I don't feel that's what's happening at Town. I don't think it can succeed doing that. That's my problem. As a manager, I love Duff. I think his press conferences are good. Whenever he talks, I feel reassured. I think he knows what he's on about. But if you're losing games and you're not changing and trying new things, and it looks like you're going to continue to lose games if you don't, of course you're going to be under pressure. I don't think there's anyone better available. I don't think it's what should be done right now. For me, I'd give him the full year anyway, even if we finish 4 go down in this division, don't they? So 20th. Is that safe? Even if we finish there, fine, because most teams that come down and then go back up and do really well, like Ipswich and Portsmouth, you need to rebuild in this division. Now, again, this comes down to the mindset you have as a fan. Do you think League One's shite and we should be better than this? Or do you accept, in my opinion, it's a bit forceful how I'm saying this, but I think the division's good. I think it's a tough division. I don't think it's an easy division. I think the top half of League One isn't much worse than the bottom third of the Championship. And I think I'm on my own when I talk like this. But you look at us coming down, we stayed up okay the year before we won. We've come down and not got rid of many pieces, but we're 15th. This division is a tough division to get out of. And I think spending a year here, actually rebuilding the club, not saying it's been rebuilt, but actually doing it, isn't the worst thing in the world. And you have to look at some kind of long-term view, a mid to long-term view, and it'll take a couple of seasons to get right, because everybody that's been in charge of this club recently has said it's rotten, as in other words, but suggested that the playing side of it has got issues, right? Duff's come out of it today in his press conference, that there's problems in the club or whatever. And it takes time to fix, and I think we all have to be patient as fans as well. But then the expectations from the club, kind of setting the expectations from maybe Nagel himself, and maybe not direct words, but the inference is that we're going to do really well this year. I never thought we would. I thought it'd be a toil. I thought we'd start off and it'd be slow, and then we'd get it together in January when we can work out what problems Duff football has and what kind of players he needs to play the way he wants to play. And that'll be January that we need to do that, because it's taken 6 months to see that. You've got to be patient with him. But he's under pressure. Of course he's under pressure. They're all under pressure. And we've lost so many games. He can't not be.
I think.
Go on, Trish.
Go on,
Sorry, mate.
guys.
You go first, Trish. Go on. No, you first, mate. Go on.
I think. I'm all for that. If I'm honest with you, I'm all for for being patient and stuff. I think the only thing that just has to change is that we have to look like we're actually in games. You called it absolutely spot on. You know, I'll sit and I've watched some dross at Town, but on Tuesday night, you know, you sat there and you're like pulling your hair out because there just doesn't seem to be anywhere to go, does there? You know, we don't look like all of a sudden, you know, someone's going to pull a bit of magic out and even have a shot. You know, it just once we've gone, you sat there and you literally may as well just leave, haven't you? You know what's going to happen. You know what's, and I think that's the bit for me that's just got to, as I was saying earlier on, I just want someone to grab game by the knackers and just say, you know, I'm going to have a go at it and see if they can drag someone along with them.
It's boring, mate. It's boring as fuck. And that's the main problem. Who have we got that's going to get the ball and run at people? That's going to create something that's going to get people off our seats? Well, we get fans off the seats, but it's to fucking go home early, isn't it? That's gross. But who have we got? Like, honestly, like you look at, and I know they've spent money, but you look at teams like Birmingham and, you know, you've got players running at people. Like Williams to skip past 3 people in the box and then I'd have shot it. Who have we got that does that at Town? We've got no pace. We've got no drive. We've got no physicality inside, apart from Kasumu. That's why I looked half decent, because he got stuck in. We're just a bunch of static. Nobody. Why do we never sign people with any pace or physicality, especially in this league? Because that is what you need in League One: pace and power.
So,
and we don't sign.
Look at then, Nick. Right. So, this may come as a bit of a surprise to you all, but I'm not a Mark Cartwright fan, right? So I know that'll be a shock. But in fairness to him, when you look at the list of players we've signed, they are exactly the players we all said that we needed. We needed League One experience, the better players from the other teams in and around us. We've Nick Lincoln's best player, Bristol Rovers' best player. You know, Wiles was Rotherham's best player in League One. We brought in a really young striker from West Ham. You know, on paper, and I know the game ain't played on paper, in fairness, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, but you know what I don't really know I'm just conscious. I don't really know what we want. I mean,
hang on, guys, I'll jump in here. Actually, though, 9 teams have spent. I think it's 8 or 9 teams have spent as much or more than us on an individual player in this division. And we've come down thinking we're big boys, swinging our big dick about. We're going to flex that we're an ex-Premier League club and stuff. We're spending similarly to everybody else. Financially, we're no bigger, I don't think. Or if we are on legacy contracts and we're overpaying people.
That's the problem, Kill. And I don't know if you were in when we were saying it. And, you know, when after the first game, we were all high-five in Town for keeping Ellick and keeping Hogg and keeping Nichols and keeping Lees and all of these. And actually now here we are 10 weeks later, and it looks like a disaster of decisions. You know, clearing them lot out, getting them wages off our wage bill and being able to spend a bit of money might be the answer. But you're right, by the way, Nick. We have zero entertainment value. Other than when the press works. I mean, that's a frustrating thing. For 20 minutes against Birmingham, we looked half decent. But the second it was tweaked, the second it moved away from us, the game, we were lost, completely lost. So does that sit on Duff or does that sit on the players?
As funny as it sounds, I think if we had this team in Championship against teams that play out from the back all the time, we'd probably do better. We'd probably be fine, because anybody that tries to play out and tries to play their own brand of football, it was on vogue a few years ago, wasn't it? Tiki-taka, Barcelona style football. It's not the same anymore. I think people have kind of progressed past that a little bit. But if anybody plays that kind of style of football, we're okay. But as soon as they work us out and start pinging it along, there's absolutely nothing. However, guys, I'm not having that I said that Mark Cartwright signing was fantastic. I just can't accept that. I just need that comment in there. No, it is. It's similar, but like you said, the problem isn't the guys we brought in. I don't think the problem is the guys we brought in. It's that the majority of the club, the nucleus, is still the guys that couldn't get it to work last season. Yeah, and
exactly, and that was my point.
It was more important. Yeah, it was more important, I think, this pre-season to shift people out so we can rebuild and bring new guys in. And
And it doesn't
unfortunately,
look like they've gone deep enough, does it? It doesn't look like they've gone deep enough.
Then they can't. Maybe they can't. Maybe, like you say, it's unfair to go too hard at people because you can only get rid of somebody if somebody's willing to take them. And if that was the case, we've got players like you say, Ruffles and Turton. Are they injured at the moment, or just not playing, or not selected? We've got players that are kind of just we haven't turned over yet enough of the squad to go this new direction of Michael Duff, and that will take time. Personally, like I say, it's not my kind of football, but that's not to say that he shouldn't be given the opportunity to get it his way. At the moment, it's far too early to judge Duff on what he can do with these players, apart from the inability or undesire to change within games, which annoys the shit out of me. It's going to take time to get the squad that he needs to provide the football he wants to provide for a team like us to succeed. It's just at the moment, I'm with you guys. It wasn't a deep enough reset in the summer, and maybe that's no fault of the people at the club right now. These are contracts that were there probably before Nagel got here, or maybe our managers prior to Duff arriving. So it's just a bit of an unfortunate situation that we have to show a bit of patience with and sit out. But that doesn't mean we can lose 7 games out of 8 and sit down and accept it, because that's just too much.
And I guess that's the point, really. So and I accept all of that. And we've actually got a lot of these people, their contracts are up in the summer. All of these guys on championship wages, they're gone in the summer. And maybe you're right, but then that loops back to the point of Duff not being able to do it. So my mate, I've got a mate who's a massive Stokey fan at Whitson me. Chico took over. First 2 games, they played tiki-taki out from the back, Carlos style, and they got pumped. At home on Wednesday night, they completely changed it. He got 2 quick strikers on. They played early balls down the lines. He got loads of crosses in, and they won. Was it 4-1, 5-1, or something? Because Chico was quick enough to realise these players can't play how I want them to play. So why don't we play how the players I've got can play? And that's what he did. He made it really simple, and they absolutely pumped Portsmouth. But Duff doesn't want to do that, does he? Duff wants to play how Duff wants to play, using the players we've got.
And maybe long term that'll work. Maybe long term that is the best way we can go about it. We're a club that has to over-deliver based on the money we can spend if we want to achieve what us as fans expect the town to achieve, which is upper half championship, really, isn't it? A lot of fans think that's where we're at. So maybe that is the right way to do it, but you still, to get there, it's a learning curve, I get it, but the dip of the curve can't go as low as it is at the moment at 7 out of 8 and continue. It just can't, because fans won't accept it. And to be fair, I don't think Kevin Nagel will either. He doesn't seem to, he's not been one to show excessive amount of patience when it comes to making a change if he deems necessary, or it doesn't appear that way. So something's got to change quick, and the results have to get better. We've not even drawn a game yet. We'll get onto predictions, I guess, in a bit for Barnsley and how that'll go. But we need to draw games. We need to start drawing games. We need to have games where we're equal. We can't just be like boom or bust every week. At the moment, it's like that, isn't it? It's like we either run away because we're flying, or we get absolutely pumped. There's nothing in that middle yet. And I think we need to find that middle ground. We need to grind out results to buy time to make the changes we need to make.
I don't mind a bit of boom or bust as long as there's some boom. Do you know what I mean? It's just not just bust all the time. A bit of boom would be nice again. Do we think, do we have the right men though when we get to January and we get to next summer? Do we have the right team behind the scenes to be able to make these signings? And just going back to Cartwright, because I'm seeing a lot of Cartwright out going around on X and what have you. I mean, I even saw a couple of posts talking about protests about game we've got to, which I think is mental. We're only 9 games into the season, but all that aside, I'm not having this. We kept hold of Ellick, we kept hold of Nichols, because no one came in for them. That's why they're still here. If someone had come in with right money, they wouldn't be here. So I'm not buying that. I think some of the signings have been all right. Sorensen, I were really pleased with that signing on paper. But have they been playing with other players in their other clubs with a bit of pace and creativity? Have they made them look better than what they actually are? Sometimes you've got to look at it as a whole picture. As a team, what elements do we need within that team that's going to really help us? And I would suggest quite strongly that pace is one of them, and we don't have it. Physicality, getting stuck in, we don't really have that either. So they might be all right in the other sides that have those elements, but as a collective altogether, we don't have it. And I mean, Freddie Ladapo, I don't like singling guys out. I don't, but the guy looks like he's made of rubber. again against Brum, the ball just bounced off him. He can't win headers. He can't hold ball up. He can't shoot. I'm getting Ishmael Miller vibes, guy, already off him. And, you know, I'm really disappointed because I remember saying when he came in, I thought he would do all right because he's got that bit of experience. I thought he'd chip in with all goal. But if this is the standard of his performance, I mean, we've got him for 2 years. It's just another waste of a wage again to add to a long list of wage wasters up front. So do you guys trust Cartwright and co to get it right when the time does come to replace all these players that's going to be leaving? Well,
go
that's
on, guys.
it, isn't it?
You're after his job, guys. You take this one on, guys. Go on.
Apathy. I don't know. It's going to depend a lot, I think, on where we are, and you know, League One is really tough. And as I said when we got relegated, it's a graveyard for clubs like Huddersfield Town, right? So we already said, well, we'll go down, we'll have a reset, win a few games. We're only in October, only just in October, and now we're saying, well, let's just get through this season. Let's get rid of all these wasters on big wages and have another go next year. It's only fucking October. So
we've said this for years. Like every single season, we seem to say the same thing.
It's not too late, and Birmingham, as you said, Kel, Birmingham aside, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of in this league. There really isn't. So it's going to be a stick or twist job for Kevin, and I'm glad I don't have to make the decision and I'm not writing the checks because, you know, pumping a load of money. Our last January excursion into the transfer market has proved to be pretty pathetic.
Do you mean when we over-delivered?
Over-delivered, apparently, yeah. So, you know, do we really want another round of Bojans and biscuit knees, Ely, or do we just try and eke our way through? But I mean, it's October, and I'm talking about just seeing our way through to the end of the season. That's depressing in itself.
It's mental, isn't it? We've gone from talking about playoffs and 6th and 7th, and we thought Ian would have been a bit pessimistic talking about 7th, and now I think we were mentioned if we get 20th end of season and stay up and then rebuild and go again. Jesus Christ!
You meant 17th, not 17th.
Oh no! Have you seen? I actually got an apology on. It was not on this podcast, unfortunately. On another podcast, a competitors' podcast. Someone actually apologized to me for giving me shit after the Peterborough game because like, oh, we're going to be fine. We're going to absolutely fine. Yeah. And I got an actual full-on one-paragraph apology, which I will post after this onto Twitter, explaining why he was sincere. He said the apology is sincere. That's what I got.
You print it off and frame it and put it on your wall, just behind you there. Look on your wall.
I've told my wife Lucy. I've said it's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, and she accepted that as well. She thought it was as well. But it's just a mess. It's a mess. But we're here, and you can't get rid of directors of football so quickly. You just can't. You've got to give them enough time. I think it's more or less last chance saloon this January to get it right. We are 3 months away. We're probably going to go over this more than once between now and then. But the players for this squad that we have aren't right for the football that Duff wants, right? So we have to bring new guys in. And if we want to achieve things this year, if we do want it to do it this year, as the message from the club seems to be, it has to be done in January. And on that is all the whatever analysis and transfer committee, whatever it is that goes into picking those players out. I've got a lot to do in January because already 3 months out, you know there's work to do because we're not there just yet. This squad isn't built for the system Duff wants to play. If Duff is still here in January, they've got to go out and do it. Are they the right guys for the job? I don't know, but we'll find out. I think we'll find out if Duff is here. If the manager's changed before, then it changes it again and buys them more time because we're shifting once more. And that's probably another reason why I think we need to keep Duff because it can show the guys behind the scenes if they can get it right for once. And that's probably why I actually be more pro Duff in, even as long as we're not in the relegation zone and threatened by that, just to see if they can get it right for him. Do I have confidence in it? I don't know, but I think once you give him the job, you've got to give him the chance to do it. And I think January is another opportunity. But the over-delivering last year still makes me laugh till this day. And it'll probably make me laugh until the day I die because the actual fruits of that January took us down from Championship to League One with a drop-off of form that was only comparable to what we've gone from since, Bolton to now. So we'll see how it goes in January.
They should have been Cartwright in the summer. Leaving him in, I think, was a position because his position was already under pressure, and unless he produced 10 out of 10, then he was never going to win the fans back on side, was he? He just feels like a dead man walking just Cartwright. I just at some point will accept that's a mistake. Other people paid with their jobs enough times last year for failure, but it seems him and Jake Edwards dodged those particular ramifications, doesn't it? So
they might have to re-interview again for their jobs. Re-interview unopposed. Brilliant. Stephen Shepherd says season's done already. That's it, mate. That's the spirit after 9 games. But I know what he means because top 2's gone, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the gap already between us and something, you think, are we going to bridge that? We're playing? No. So then that particular avenue of excitement has evaporated. So then you think, well, can we get in playoffs? Hopefully. But, it's mad to even consider this after 9 games. But you look at how we're playing, and like you said, Ian, you don't see any improvement. I think that's a worrying thing. That we're not seeing any improvement, really. We're seeing the same pattern repeated game after game. We start all right, we come up against a bit of adversity, and then we shit out rest at game. So anyway, having said that, we've got Barnsley on Saturday, early kickoff, 12:30, just to please everybody. Dare we come up with some predictions for this? Because I tell you what, it's not going to be easy, is it? It's not going to be an easy game. They're a decent side. It's a derby. Pressure at home again. I tell you what, if we don't start well, if we concede early, the atmosphere is going to be awful.
It's a key point of the season already, isn't it? This one's massive. It's a derby, of course. It'll always be against Barnsley. I still, it leaves long in my memory when we got battered 7-1. Do you remember that, Gaz? You probably will. You probably are married at that point, really, weren't you?
I was there, yeah. I've got. Do you want to hear my anecdote from that game?
Go on.
So it was sat in the away end. This is when the away end had seats, but it had no roof. So before the stand that they built, and it was absolutely pissing down. And I think it was 5-0 at half time. I think it was. And the Barnsley fans, it was when Danny Wilson was a man, they used to sing, "It's just like watching Brazil." So the Barnsley fans started with a rendition of "It's like watching Brazil," and 2 old boys behind me turned to his mate and he went, "It's more like watching fucking Benny Hill," which I thought was possibly.
That's actually pretty good, guys.
We were I'm not claiming it.
Yeah. We were top of the league a few days before that, like 3 or 4 games before. We were top of the league under Peter Jackson. Yeah, we were. And our team was phenomenal. Stuart, Allison, yeah, he did. Paul Dalton was there. Facey came on as a sub, I think, and scored at the end. But do you remember the home game afterwards when they turned up with 7 dwarfs and Snow White at the front? It was one of the first games. Obviously, I'm born in '88, so for me, I was 10 or 11. And whilst I went to games before that, my kind of core memories of supporting town started kind of that year afterwards. And I remember him sitting there, and they were sitting right at the front, 7-1. It were a tough one at that, wasn't it? But no, it's just Barnsley play a similar way to we do. They're still kind of they're getting away from Michael Duff ball. Obviously, he was there for quite a period of time and had quite a lot of success. And they stuck with 3-5-2 after he left. They sacked the coach at like 3 games towards the end of the season last year, Neil Collins. After they had a really good start, but then at the end of last season they lost, I think, 2 in 11. They won 2 in 11 at the end, 1 in 8. They were really awful at the end, and they sacked him before the playoffs, which is a bit reminiscent of Lee Clark with us, isn't it? It worked out for us. It didn't for them, and they're still here. And then they had lost a lot of players in the summer. They're kind of changing the formation quite a bit between the beginning of the season and now. They've played the similar 3-1-4-2 that we play. They've played 4-1-4-1. They've got Keeler Dunn passing about for fun up top, and it's going to be a tough day. But like you say, Nick, if we don't start well, I think town fans will start turning. And this, to me, is the most important game we've had so far this season. I don't know if people chuck that in. The next game's always the most important. But we've got a break after this as well of a week, and we're already 15th. Barnsley, okay, I think they're 6th or 7th in the table. They've only lost a couple of games, but they've had easier fixtures. We have to get something positive out of this. Otherwise, the atmosphere around the club will be pretty toxic, I'd imagine. I feel like fans have waited longer than usual to give Duff a bit more time, to give what's going on the pitch a bit more time. But this Saturday, if it don't go too well to start off with, it'll be not a nice atmosphere in that second half. We've got to get something going early doors.
Barnsley have actually only won the same number of games that we have, but they've drawn 3, lost 2, whereas we've lost 5. So they're a bit more resilient. They've drawn the last 2 games. one home, one away. So, and I think they won the game before that. So they've taken, 5 out of 9. So they're in okay-ish form of Barnsley. And with you, Ian, I think they're genuinely going through a transition in terms of changing the players. Their quote big name players were moved out, and I think Keeler Dunn was a really cute signing. I think that's a great signing by them, by the way. That's the kind of player I was hoping we'd pick up when we missed out on May and Taylor.
The thing is, quickly there, guys, they've got rid of Herbie Kane to us and upgraded with Keeler Dunn. That's a swap that Barnsley have made.
I agree. I mean, Kane can't even get in the squad now, can he? After the Blackpool game, so I think the game. I think there's every reason to be optimistic about it. If we set off well, they're going to play the way they play. We're going to play the way we play. So there'll be a lot of one-on-ones. There'll be a lot of individual battles that are going to need to be won to take a point. But yeah, anything less than a point, it'll be poisonous. It really will be poisonous, I think.
Yeah, I just hope that we, as we've alluded to, we haven't drawn a game yet, and not because I want to draw a game, but just to try and kind of stop what's going on. Show a bit of grit, show a bit of battle, show a bit of determination, and you're right. It could be someone like Keeler Dunn with a bit of quality that makes a difference in the game, but I hope we go out and I can actually see us. I can definitely see Hogg playing. I can definitely see Kasumu playing. And actually try and go and be quite physical with them. With it being a local derby, I think we'll try and go toe to toe with them, probably physically more than in football terms. Rather than kind of with skill. But yeah, it's. I do just hope that we can try and take something from the game and start to build something from there.
Ian Brealey says, "What's the best team for Barnsley?" I don't know. I mean, can you change the entire team? I'm not sure. I would just. I think personally, I would go 4-4-2. I think Barnsley will do 4-4-1-1 with Keeler Dunn just off the strike. Is it Cosgrove?
Yeah.
Is it Cosgrove? I would go 4-4-2 for this one, but he's not going to, is he? It's going to be 3-5-2. It's going to be exactly the same again. And I'm a bit worried for this. I think we'll lose 2-1, if I'm being honest, because I think Barnsley, with the momentum they've got a bit of a feel-good factor. We haven't. I think there'll be too much pressure on us, and I think we'll make the same mistakes again. I think we're too slow at the back. We leave too many gaps down the flanks for him to run into, and I think when you've got someone like Keeler Dunn who does the running, got a bit of skill, he's going to be a real handful for our defence. So I don't hold out much hope, unfortunately. And like you said, then you're going into a break off the back of that. I'm a bit worried, really, about what the atmosphere is going to be like. I don't think it's going to be particularly nice.
Are you all right, Nick? Nick, are you okay, man? This might be the most depressing you've ever been, and we've suffered a few relegations since
I'm still smiling, mate. I'm still smiling because what else can you do? I'm smiling on the inside. Don't worry, but it is, isn't it? It's the way we've played. It doesn't fill you with confidence. It doesn't fill you with confidence that they can suddenly put in when you've not had a good performance all season at home. Why would that suddenly change on Saturday? Do you know what I mean?
I do think though, Killer were on something earlier on with. I'd arguably try and maybe go Pearson at centre back, but put Brodie Spencer and Longvike at either side of him. They're a bit more mobile. I'm not saying that that they've kind of covered themselves in glory so far, but I'd try and just do something a little different there. And when we have played well, the kind of Bolton game and the Peterborough game, we've done well through kind of like the left side of the pitch, the right side of the pitch, and we seem to have in recent weeks not got the ball out, or Headley's been out on the left side of the pitch, and we've not got the ball out to the wings. So I think maybe if we can try and get the Bolton game, we got Miller and Marshall and Wiles kind of involved down the left-hand side of the pitch. If we can try and start to pick up, I think they play with 5 in the midfield or 2 and a 3. is it worth us trying to exploit them gaps kind of down the wings, rather than it's just going to be a bit of a bum fight through the middle, isn't it? So, and I think I probably would stick with Koroma and if he's fit, Koroma and Marshall up top, because as much as I've been, as much as they're not the tallest lads, I've been surprised at how well they have held the ball up compared to some of the bigger lads that the ball just doesn't stick with. So, I think to me, there is an obvious team there to play the game this weekend. But who knows? People are calling for like Ayapenda and people like that. I'm not sure I'd go down that route, to be honest with you.
I think Kasuma's been good. Actually, if we're going to point out somebody who I think's improved the most in the short 9 games, I thought Evans has been pretty good recently. I think the last couple of games he's trying his Rudoni hardest, where the product at the end isn't the best, but he's all action. He's up there, and I think for me the system I'd go with would be a 4-3-1-2. That's how I'd go, to be honest. Personally, if I was in charge of that team, back 4 every day of the week, midfield 3, I'd have Hodge, Hogg and Kasumu. I'd go solid. League One's won on good defences, not giving goals away. I'd go solid in there. I'd have Evans as your free man as your 10. I like Wiles in there as well, but I think Evans has really stepped up. It hasn't quite worked. He goes a bit rogue if we're losing. He loses his head sometimes and throws himself into challenges that he should never do. And I'd have Marshall and Koroma up top as well with you, Tristan. That's what I'd be going with.
Who would you go with a fullback killer?
Brody Spencer, and I'm not a massive believer that right backs can't play left back. I just don't think that's a thing. I think you can. There's a weakness there, but it's less of a weakness than having wing backs and a back three.
Would you not go with Miller and Sorensen?
I don't think Sorensen can defend anything whatsoever. Yeah. I just don't think he's. And I know this is so against Michael Duff's football, and he's never going to do it because he's brought in wing backs to play his style. I do understand that. Miller might be able to play left back. I think he might be able to. And having that pace at left back with Brody Spencer on the right hand side, who's a bit more solid but less pacey, being able to sweep on those long balls is probably a good option. And maybe that's what I'd go with. But I just think Sorensen's more of an attacking player than he's a defender. I don't think he can defend very well at all.
Agreed.
I just don't think he can. And seeing him, yeah, I would do. Or even Pearson and Lees at centre back. I'm not sold on Lundvik, to be honest. Personally, I think he plays in a very casual manner. The mistake he made against Reading for the first goal, he's not unpredictable. The way he plays, it's kind of, you didn't see it and think, oh, I can't believe he's done that. You've seen in the way he plays football that is within his arsenal. He has a very casual. Again, Nathan Chalobah, I thought was a similar. He's much better, of course he is. But he had the same kind of chilled style when he played football, and it looks classy on the ball, absolutely fine. But then those moments you just take a little bit too long and you get caught for it. I like Lundvik. I think there's an option for him. Maybe he can play left back. Maybe that's another option there. A bit tall, fast, can do a bit. Maybe he's an option at fullback. But I think that back four is really important. The most important thing for Town for me is winning that midfield battle. And I think we've got to get more men in there. Out wide, we can deal with that later on if we have to. But to start off with, I'd go for something quite radical. But he's not going to do it. So it's a waste of time even explaining it. I just think Evans has been really good, and he needs to get that 10 role where he can do a little bit, because he's not as good as Keeler done, but he's the closest we have to any sort of playmaker. His free kick for the goal where Pearson headed it in against Reading was really good, and he just started to create problems, and nobody else can do what he can do, even if it's patchy.
So what's your predictions, lads? We'll wrap, because we've done nearly an hour and a half now. Let's get your predictions, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'll go 1-1. 1-1 I'll go, I think.
Yeah, I was going to go 1-1 as well.
Oh, God, I'm going to be boring and go 1-1.
Oh, look at us.
1-0.
Nick, where are you at today, then?
I said 2. I think 2-1 Barnsley, mate. I just don't see it. I don't see us doing it. I think we'll concede because we can't defend. And we're just not scoring. We're not scoring enough goals at the moment. And I just think the pressure, being at home, the atmosphere will be poor. It'll be flat as a pancake. And I think we'll start the game reasonably well. But the more it goes on, Barnsley will get a foothold in the game. I think we might go a goal up, but I think Barnsley will get one back. And then I think our heads will drop. And I think we'll lose 2-1. Sorry. Sorry, guys, to be ultra negative. But I think I've got a bad feeling. I hope not. I hope we go out and smash them 4-0 and go into that week with a bit of a bit of positivity and optimism, because one good result, it could all turn. Suddenly it could click and we could go on a bit of a run. It's not too late to get back up there, but it's got to start happening for us soon. Otherwise, we're in real trouble. So, right then, guys, we'll end it there. We've had a lot to talk about, but here's hoping that that we do get a positive result Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. We've had lots of comments and questions tonight, so thank you, guys. Yeah, he's similar to me. He thinks we're going to be in trouble. Let's hope not. Killer for interim managers. Things aren't that bad, mate. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, my boys, Grangemore, top at league, Division 1 Huddersfield, taking the piss with a 4-3-1-2.
Well, when I take over as the head of football, I'll interview you, Killer, but you're not getting it. I'm going to put you right through the ringer, 3 interviews, just to give you the bad news that I've actually brought back Neil Warnock.
Cheers, guys.
I'll be head of recruitment. I'll just open paper and pick the previous players at season for 4 teams in League One. Great stuff. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for your comments. If you can subscribe on YouTube, that'd be amazing. Keep us going. But yeah, thanks for contributing. It's been a really good discussion. And yeah, here's hoping we get the 3 points against Barnsley and start onwards and upwards. Cheers, everyone. We'll talk after and up the town.